Zach Life beat depression. It's day 758, and I feel great. And today we're gonna keep it that way with another somatic healing session to wipe out depression. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here now. Anyone who's tuning in later, appreciate you guys and girls out there for supporting each other and for supporting the cause. As you guys know, it's Martial Arts for Mental Health show. Tuning into that first one, that powerful tool of gratitude. The more we use it, the more effective it can become. Easier it is to find things to be grateful for. Gratitude today going out to the first ones in. Mad with Hats, Lisa the Luminary, thank you so much for being here, for staying consistent, for crushing those goals, being an inspiration, and being part of our social support system to help build one another up out here. And comments coming in, bong bong, made it today, hope all are well from Mad with Hats. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the well wishes. I wish you the same. I hope you're doing well out there also. So that's our gratitude section. Now let's talk about that second tool, progress tracking. Keeping track of the number of days that you crush your daily goal. It's been 758 days of consecutive training for myself. Slayer Ken just popped in the studio and he just hit a year yesterday. Full 365 days of consecutive progress. Crushing it out there. Sharing that number can help build each other up. But keeping track of that number for ourselves is what's going to build ourselves up. Because that number is a reminder of your strength and your endurance and perseverance and how strong you really are, even in the face of anything that's telling you you're not. So when you're having those blue periods especially, keep track of that day and put it somewhere physical, on a calendar, in a notebook, somewhere you can see it. If you want, buy one of these boards. It's freaking dope. And you can put it anywhere, but put it somewhere you can see it so that it'll be a physical reminder and anchor back into reality so you can give yourself proper credit for what you are fighting against and what you are overcoming. Every single day that you get up and fight for you, you're overcoming, as a matter of fact, the debilitating effects of depression. For me, it's been 758 days since I've had an episode of debilitation. It's also been 758 days since I've had a single suicidal thought or ideation. So goodbye to the days of suicidal ideation, which is something I was struggling with before I made it a daily routine for myself. So those are just some of the effects that a lot of people are experiencing other than myself, and that possibly you may experience if you start keeping track of that number. But it does affect so many other areas of life, and it gives you more self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-validation, which translates over into all different areas. So please do keep track of that number. Share it with others. Ken shared his 366 today. Congrats on over a year. Good stuff. And that is our number tool. So we did gratitude, we did the number tool. Now today is a Monday, so we're going to be doing our standard rounds, 3 rounds, 3 minutes each, 1 minute breaks in between to catch your breath and drink some water. I've got plenty of water with me today. Ken said, congrats on my 758. Heck yeah. Thank you, brother. Congrats right back at you. And thank you for being here and being part of this thing, dude. So, today, as I said, it's going to be a standard round. 3 rounds, 3 minutes each. 1 minute breaks in between to catch our breath, drink some water. And since you guys have all been here so consistently, you have tons of tools at your disposal. We're going to talk about some technical stuff today. We're going to talk about setting up our kicks with our punches. So half the game is knowing the tools, knowing when to use them, and becoming proficient at that mechanical movement, right? That physical side of it, conditioning the body, conditioning the mind, being prepared. But another side of it is the psychological game and giving ourselves the best chance at success by setting up our next couple of moves. So instead of just spitballing out there, which you're still going to have to do, but instead of just being random out there or throwing the same thing all the time or tossing a single kick, we're going to prepare for those kicks. We're going to set up our opponent for failure. We're going to set up that depression dummy to take those hits that we want them to take. And the way we're going to do that is kind of by psyching them out with the punches, setting them up with those punches, blocking their vision. And I'm going to show you how those punches, certain punches, are going to preload you for the kick that you can toss right after them, turn it into a combo. At the end of the round, we're going to talk about lead teep and using that lead teep as well to bait and set them up for a punch. So you can set up kicks with your punches, and you can set up punches with your kicks. So we're going to start with setting up kicks with our punches first. Using fundamentals, we're talking about the jab, we're talking about the cross in different variations. So double jabs, or jab, cross, jab, whatever we got, whatever we want to throw. Each one of those is going to preload us for a possible kick opportunity. So let's talk about that first. When we're fighting an opponent, when you're visualizing that depression dummy, you visualize that head. We're making contact with that head, right? We're turning those fists over. But if they're guarding, they're going to be bringing that guard up high and covering up and deflecting those blows. So what we want to do is, let's say we want to land a nice low roundhouse kick, right? We step off the line, we reach across, we toss through the hip, and there's your roundhouse kick. But that's a huge tell. That's something, kicks are very easy to see coming unless you're really fast for them, which you can be, and there's some kicks that are really fast. But for the big ones, for the big power, heavy-hitting kicks, they've got a lot of tells in them, right? We're stepping off the line. That's our first signal. We're reaching across, another signal telling the opponent what's about to happen. And then we're turning that hip and bringing that leg all the way around. There's a lot of time for them to react. But if we set it up with a punch first, they won't have any time to react, and well, they'll have a lot less time to react, and we're also gonna block their vision, and we're gonna make them take their guard away from their lower half so that they can defend their head, and they won't be able to defend themselves from that low kick. So let's talk about the low kick first. We mentioned it in the single breakdown. Step off that line, reach across, toss, whoosh, through the hip, and back to stance, rolling that hip over. Now, in combination, whenever we throw the cross, we should be preloaded for a nice, powerful low kick because we've already gotten that reach across, right? And if we're sinking on the knees like we're supposed to, keeping those knees bent, weights on the balls of the feet, rotation's going to come nice and easy. 1, 2, right here, we're already reached across, we're already sunk. The off the line part, just very small movement there. You don't even necessarily have to step off the line. You can pivot from there and just change that angle a little bit and toss that low kick. But what we're going to do here with the punches is bring their guard up, have them defend up top, and from here, instead of coming back and then tossing the low kick, right from that point of contact, right from where they've blocked and now their guard is up high, we're going to chop the arm, whoosh, and toss a low kick in there. Now this can be any kick coming from that side, right? Whenever we got the fist reached across, we can toss a low kick, whoosh, boom. We can toss a body level kick, whoosh, bang. We can toss a kick to the head. If we can reach them with the hand and that fist is touching the head, then that means we can reach that head with the kick as well. Reach across, touch the head, whoosh, boom, and we're back to stance. And it's one that they're never going to see coming because we're executing right from the point of impact, keeping their line of sight blinded, keeping their guard where we want it. So when we're setting them up and we're talking about getting that guard out of the way, a head kick is probably the most easily defended if we're using this strategy. So you want to kind of bring their guard up high and then hit them low or hit them in the middle section where they won't see it coming. So we'll talk about that. We'll work that into today's rounds. In our 3-minute rounds, we'll be tossing those kicks in there. And then we're also going to talk about the jab. So those are two fundamentals, right? The jab and the cross. So with the jab, if we wanted to throw a roundhouse kick, this is no longer preloaded. We're going to have to turn the whole body, set that up. It's going to take more time. And we're talking about a game that's executed in a fraction of seconds. So the fastest point between two lines, or the point that's already preloaded, that's going to be the most efficient one. And that's why there's that science level to this thing. Since you guys have been here for so many days, over 100 days, all of you, you should be ready for these fundamentals, and we're going to take that training to the next level so you can give yourself a challenge. Now, if you don't have room to do the kicks, I highly encourage you to get out, get yourself enough room to follow through with those kicks so you can turn all the way around. I'm here in my living room. I know some of you out there might be coming from tight spaces, but I highly encourage you to get out there so that you can continue to grow. If you're finding you're limited by certain things, see if you can make improvements, make changes so that you can continue to enhance your skills. So let's get back on track and talk about the jab. From the jab, boom, what's preloaded? No longer, that back kick is no longer preloaded. And a front power kick would be pretty hard because that lead leg's already forwards. It's not back, it's not loaded, and we got that jab out here. So what can we do? What we can do is we can disguise a step in to set up a low kick with the jab. So we're going to toss the jab like we normally do. We take that small step forwards, making it a power jab, right? And then what we're going to do is, from right there, boom, we're going to bring that rear foot forwards. So when we toss the jab, huss, boom, we're bringing that rear foot forwards while they can't see it. And that's going to preload us to toss that lead hip. Now, It's still not going to be as powerful a kick as that big giant roundhouse from the rear leg, but it's going to be a kick, boom, that lands, bang, and they don't see it coming. So right from the point of impact, we're bringing that rear foot forwards, we're opening up the hip, and we're going to chop the arm, whoosh, and just toss through the hip. Very small, whoosh, boom. Small chop here, whoosh, boom. Turning in, we're already turned in with the shoulder, right? And then we're going to just twist through the hips, roll those hips over, whoosh, boom, and extend that foot for a nice chopping kick to the calf meat on that lead leg. So again, we're pulling their guard high with the jab, bang. We're pulling it high with the jab again, bang, but this time we're stepping in, and then bang, twisting through that hip and tossing that nice low kick there. I hope you guys can see the footwork. So from here, step in for the jab, step in for the jab, bring the rear foot up, bang, turn that hip over. Notice the hip turns over, bang, and then I extend that leg through, chopping that calf meat. So we've got our jab to chop, we've got our jab cross to roundhouse, low, medium, or high, your choice. And we'll talk about that teep to strike towards the end. We'll break it down. If the kicks are flowing good and things are feeling nice, we'll talk about setting up a punch with a kick. So we can mix things up, stay unpredictable when you're sparring, and continue to level up that skill. So make sure you got water, you're staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water, and you're showing up to your skill level. I did party last night, didn't get much sleep, so my intensity might be a little bit lower today. It's going to affect me. Same thing with you guys. Make sure you're setting a reasonable goal for yourself today that's based on just today, in this moment, how you're feeling, how you're doing right now. And that way we can get it, we can crush it, and enjoy that consistent progress and success. Shout out to Claire. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you, Claire. So, we're going to have those fundamentals like we talked about earlier. I want you guys to go at your level as always. Make sure you're not pushing too hard. And we're getting right into it. Let's do this thing. Bum, bum, bum. Yep. Good old classic Daily Beat on Spotify if you want to check us out. All the music is free to stream. Just search artist, ZachLifeOfficial.com. Hi from me and Luca. It's good to see you both tuning in on one name, showing up for yourselves. Thank you for being here. Let's get right into it. We're going to pop right into stance. And remember, go at your pace. Take it slow if you need to. If that's still a challenge, just give yourself a challenge out there. Guard up, Muay Thai stance. We're going to start with the one, small step into the one, and then rotate back to stance. Whoosh, one, and back. Small step in, boom. Turning that fist over, large shoe knuckles connect, chin tuck. Guard high on the opposite side, rotate back to stance. 1, 2 this time, 1, 2. Twisting through, keeping the head on the center line, guard high, chin tuck, shoulders roll. 1, 2, and back. Notice the small step in, bang, for the 1. Rotate through for the 2. Guards high the entire time. Now, we're going to start using that lead kick that we talked about. Remember the flick through the hip? Whoosh, just turning through that hip and turning back and chopping that lead arm down. So we're going to step into the 1, boom. We're going to bring the rear foot forwards. As we stepped into that 1, when we make that impact with the head, from here we're going to chop the arm down and twist the hip over. Whoosh! Extending that low leg for a nice low chop kick to the calf knee. Let's do it again. Step in for the 1, rotate for 2, back to stance. Step in for 1, rotate for 2, back to stance. Now step in for the 1 and bring the rear foot forwards. Notice how that rear foot came forwards. I'm opening up the hip. I'm angling that hip away so that I can roll it over. Practice twisting that hip over as you're standing on that rear foot. Twisting that hip over. And then we're just going to extend, bump. We're going to extend the leg out and chop through that calf knee on that lead leg of our opponent. Back to stance. Step in for the 1. Bah. Back to stance. 1, 2. Boom, boom. Now 1 with the disguised step and chop. Bang. Right there. Back to stance. We're bringing their guard up. We're keeping that hand out there in their face. And then bang. We're chopping that leg over. Taking out their mobility. Back to stance. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to stance. We're going to step in for the 1 with the disguise step forwards and roll that hip. whoosh, bang, into the calf knee, back to stance, guard high, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and leg chop. Let's go. Small step forwards, chop through, bump, hit that calf knee, rotate back. Exhale through those strikes. Let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, bump, 1, 2, 3. Exhale on those strikes. Inhale through the nose. Back to stance, and now we're going to toss that low kick in. Remember, disguise the kick with a punch. Set up the kick with that punch. So we're going to step in, opening up that hip, land in the punch. Punch connects on the knuckles, and right here we're chopping the hand down as we're turning the hip over. Bump, and we're rolling through that hip for the nice low leg chop. Back to stance. 1, step in for the 1, bam, chop for that low kick, and that's the end of round 1. And let's check on the comments. Is that guy getting cold? He's got a jacket. He's totally fine. He's also an inanimate object, so he never gets cold. He has no feelings. It's been made to take abuse, so if you can find a Bob, it's a great item to punch, do that technical sparring with. Claire says, got air in me because I could not take a deep breath last night. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you're breathing now. I'm happy that you found some relief and you made it to the doctors and you're doing well. If you don't know Claire, Claire's coming in from Canada. Claire and Luca, she's 5 years old. She's battling forwards through pediatric cancer, and you can help kids like Claire by joining that 10-kick challenge. There's still a few days left to join that 10-kick challenge. You can help raise funds and support kids with pediatric cancer out there by taking that challenge. Just check out the links on my bio, on Century's bio, or Kids Kick Cancer bio. Alright, that being said, we got 2 seconds. Let's pop back into stance, Muay Thai position. Guard high, chin tucked. And we're going to talk about that low roundhouse this time. So let's talk about just the low roundhouse alone. It's coming from the rear leg. We're going to step off that line, reaching across the head of the opponent. We're going to chop this arm over, whoosh, as we toss that leg through the hip. You want to think of that leg on one plane, just tossing it over and rolling that hip, making sure that we connect the shin to their calf knee, right? Nice, the hard part of the shin, bam, going right through their calf knee, rotating all the way around. And the way we're going to keep that rotation is keeping the bend in the knees, making sure that the weight is on the ball of the foot, not on the toes, not on the heels, not flat-footed, but on the ball of the foot, so we can rotate nice and easy. So step off that line, rotate, whoosh, boom, and back around, back to stance. Step off the line, reaching across the head, rotate and chop, boom, back to stance. Remember too, we need to turn that hip over to get the right angle on the leg. So make sure you step off the line, turn the hip, boom, and bring it all the way back around, back to stance. That's our low roundhouse. Now let's set it up with a punch. Jab, jab, cross, back to stance, jab, cross, and from here we're set up, that rear leg's loaded. All we need to do is angle that lead leg out. We're going to pivot on the ball of that foot. We're going to chop that lead arm and toss that hip over. Whoosh! Boom, back to stance, back to guard, guard up high, 1, 2, 1, 2, on the 2, angling that front foot out. Remember, we're on the ball of the foot, we're not flat-footed, so that'll avoid an ankle twist. And from here, we're going to chop the arm and follow through with the hip. Whoosh, scissoring motion, making this hand come down as the hip comes up, as that leg comes up, boom. Make that scissoring motion, sending that momentum in the opposite direction. Carry through, generate some power. Let's do it. Let's set it up with the punches. Step to 1, rotate for 2. Now when you rotate for 2, notice that front foot's angling out because I'm already prepping for that kick. I'm going to toss that kick through the lower half of the body. Whoosh, boom, there it is. Rolling that hip over, letting the leg chop through, take out their support system. Back to stance. Guard high, 1, 2. Tuck the chin, 1, 2. Visualize that opponent, 1, 2. 1, 2, and now this time, cover up that leg kick intention with the fist in the face. I can't see it coming, the guard is high. You've turned that lead leg, you're gonna now chop, boom, and toss that leg right through. Their stance, back to your position. In the nose, out the mouth, let's go, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, leg chop. Let's go. Boom, boom, leg chop. And back to stance. Guard high. Stay balanced. 1, 2, leg chop. Bang. Back to stance. And that's the end of round 2. Catch your breath, drink some water. And I think we'll save the disguised punches for the next episode. So today we talked about setting up kicks with our punches. Next episode we'll talk about setting up punches with our kicks. So we're going to continue in with the tools that we just learned in those first 2 rounds. We're going to put the 2 of them together for our final 3rd round. Hopefully it'll flow nicely, give you more tools to work with, and make you more unpredictable. If you do get into some sparring or some more technical pad work with a buddy out there, or with a bob, or with a bag, you can practice these techniques, and it'll make you more equipped for more situations that you may be in. And we use those fundamentals. We go back to fundamentals because if you look at advanced martial arts manuals or training, most advanced martial arts is just extremely well executed fundamentals. That's why they're fundamental to the sport and to the craft of martial arts. So, pop back into stance. We're going to put those 2 things we learned today together, starting with the jab, bump, back to stance, jab, cross, bump, bump, jab, cross, jab, bump, 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 back to stance. Now we're going to step in with the jab and bring that rear foot forwards, opening up this hip and setting up for that low leg kick. Turn the hip over, bump, and extend that foot forwards, extending that front leg into their calf knee as you chop the lead hand down. So back to stance, let's do it again. Step in for the jab, bring that rear foot forwards at the same time, make contact with the jab, and now we're going to chop, bump, and roll through that hip, bring it back to stance. Let's go, 1, 2, bump, bump, 1 step in with the jab, making contact here, and roll, bump, roll that hip, bring it back. Now we're going to work that low kick in there, 1, 2 from here. We're on the ball of foot, we're letting that lead foot turn, and we're going to toss through the hip, boom, for the low kick, back to stance, guard high, let's put them together, let's get unpredictable, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, now on 2, 1, 2, toss the low kick, boom, back to stance, go at your pace, remember, set yourself a challenge at your level to meet yourself where you're at. Step in for the jab, disguising the step forwards, and toss the low kick. Bam! Back to stance, back it up. Step in for 1, 2, 1, 2, keeping their guard high, keeping them up top. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, guard high. Now 1, 2, low kick, 1, 2, low kick, right through that calf knee, back to stance. Step in for the 1 and toss the low. Off the jab, back to stance, guard high. Step in for the 1, 2 low kick. Let's do it together. 1, 2 low kick. Bang, back to stance. Step in, disguising the step with the 1. Boom, and roll the hip. Bang, low kick there, back to stance. Let's keep their guard off those legs. They'll never be able to defend it. Let's go. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now what happens when we get to 3? We're back at the jab. We can toss that step in, conceal the step, and roll the hip. Boom! And we've got a nice low leg kick there, right at the end of the 3-hit combo. We can do the same thing. Whenever we fire the jab, we can set that up. Boom! Toss a little low kick in there. Keep it high-low, keep the guard in their face. Boom! And take out those legs. Whenever we throw the cross, same thing. You can toss that low kick in there, making it very hard to defend. Let's put them together. 1, 2, low kick. Boom! There it is. 1, and low kick. 1, low kick, boom, back to stance, 1, 2, 3, low kick. Where's it gonna be? 1, 2, 3. On that 3rd, we're disguising the step, low kick, back to stance. 1, 2, 3, 4, low kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, low kick, and back to stance. And that is the end of our 3rd round today. I know it was a little bit technical. I did have to dial my intensity back because I can feel alcohol leaving my system right now. If you drank, it will affect you. It does indeed affect you. And if you're dealing with depression and you're not past the clinical side of it and you haven't recovered, I would suggest avoiding alcohol because alcohol itself is a depressant. However, in my personal experience, in my personal life, I don't restrict myself from alcohol. I just try and keep it in moderation once in a while, not every day, not all the time. And I'm fully aware that alcohol is a depressant and it can make depression worse. So you gotta constantly check in on my mental health, see where my mood is, see where my energy level is, acknowledge that it affects me, and make those educated decisions, calculated decisions. And that way I can continue training, never have to stop, never put myself in a bad position to where I can't show up and put the work in. So, I encourage you guys to do the same. That being said, if you found something beneficial in this class, please do share it. Shout out to Reed Brickman. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And shout out to Mad with Hats, who said he missed this. Appreciate you being here, man. Missed you out there too, seeing your cat icon pop up. But yeah, I hope that you found those technical tools that we talked about. Being able to block, being able to set up those kicks with the punches is really going to make a difference and take that sparring to the next level, or the training to the next level, if you haven't been doing that already. And stay tuned. Next episode, we will talk about setting up punches with some kicks, faking kicks to set up punches, drop the guard, things like that. And October 1st, we're going to be doing a show from New York City with a live audience. So stay tuned for that. You got the inside scoop right now. I'm looking forward to it, putting together a program right now that everybody can enjoy. It's gonna be like a tour de force of Sack Life. We'll be experimenting with all of the tools that we usually use on a Superhuman Sunday, Water Flow Wednesday, and our daily high training routine. Might be about an hour class. Still working out the details on that. But stay tuned for posts, and here's to progress and success, mine and yours. Appreciate you guys and girls. Catch you next time. Same Sack time, same Sack channel, same Sack Life. Sack man out.